Yo, yo, yo. We're back. First Choice Fantasy Football Podcast. Dive into the NFC East for the third time. 3 out of 3. Part 3. You know what I'm saying? We're going with the wideouts this time. It's all spit it down. It's all spit. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? Touchdown. Okay. Well,
Go to the intro. What's going on?
yeah, let's just dive into this intro, shall we?
Let's do it.
I said, baby, I am not the one to play with. Ain't the type to give up, I'm driven and motivated. I just want some recognition and some compensation. But this ain't about the money and it ain't about the fame. I got lightning in a bottle, I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning out. Lightning in a bottle, I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning out.
We're back.
Shout
Hey,
out
jamming.
Aaron Arroyo. Is that Arroyo or Arroyo?
Arroyo. This guy said Arroyo.
Never heard it pronounced. I've always known him as Darren Gwynn.
Oh yeah, check out Darren's Darren's music. He's gonna be the link down there in the description. This man has some fire songs. His recent album was honestly, I thought was pretty good. Like, believe it or not.
I'm not sure why we're shouting him out on something that nobody's going to see.
I mean, there's like 20 people that see it occasionally, you know. And if it comes across another popular video, like our first video did, we got 144 views. Now we're at 20. Like, show some love and just share, bro. Like, yeah,
My video was like 6. We're struggling.
Please.
yeah. Support.
These
Just support us.
These receivers, though.
Oh, the receivers. Yeah, we're jumping in the receivers in the NFC East. So let's rank these people.
Boy, you got Rager over Gallup.
I have Rager over Gallup. I do indeed.
Voice couldn't believe it.
Same
This
people.
this is the way I think of it, okay? Let me explain why I have Rager at 3 and Gallup at 4, okay? Michael Gallup, obviously their passing offense is going to be insane. You know, Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott. Holy cow, this offense is insane.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I like Gallup. I do. I think he's eventually going to get faded out of this offense, even though people believe that Amari Cooper is going to get faded out because his money's guaranteed only 1 year or whatever.
Faded out. Nobody has to get faded out.
No, I think eventually, I'm saying like not in the end of this year. I'm saying after this year.
I can see Gallup just leaving or them trading him.
Well, his contract's up in 2022. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's going to get faded out and he's going to get traded, I believe, next year. Yeah, I just feel like Rager, as I would consider Rager maybe a little hot of a take, but I think Rager is the wide receiver 1 on the team, on the Eagles. I want him to be the wide receiver 1, and I believe he has the talent to be the wide receiver 1, even though with this whole Corona situation, you know, the limited availability, limited time, limited training, yada, yada, yada. I feel like he still has the talent to be the wide receiver 1, and I just ranked him as so. And I wanted to clarify before I even, like, did anything here. Like, I wanted to clarify. I have some of these wide receivers at their ceiling, and I have some at their floor. Like, this isn't really uniform as far as, like, every single one of these players at their floor, every single one of them at their ceiling. Because obviously I have Alshon Jeffrey at 10, whose floor is about 10, whose ceiling is a lot higher than 10. And, yeah, just wanted to say that.
I don't know if his ceiling's much higher. For me, I don't know if his ceiling's much higher than 7.
Oh, 7? Oh.
I don't know about 7. I'd say 5 is his ceiling.
Declining to begin with. And he was a guy that was already, like, losing explosiveness, and he just had a broken foot. Liz Frank injuries are no jokes. Are no joke. Now, I'm not saying he's done. He could be useful, like, eventually, but I don't know if he'll really do shit this season.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's also, like, ceilings are ceilings. Like, there's far-fetched ceilings, but it's still a possibility. Like, it's in the range of outcomes for Alshon to outperform Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. I could see that happening. But I can also see him finishing at 10. And, like, that's the floor for me. That's why I said, like, with Rager, his ceiling is number 3 in my eyes. And I did as such by ranking him as 3. But, like I said, it's not uniform throughout. Like, I have CeeDee Lamb at 7, I believe. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb at 7. That's like his middle. Like, his floor could definitely be below Deshaun Jackson, like, at 9. Like, say they don't use him at all. Chance of that happening, very slim. Chance of him being above Michael Gallup or even the 3rd wide receiver, it's possible, but I just realistically think Rager Rager's ceiling is more possible than CeeDee Lamb's ceiling in this situation.
I think Lamb is the fourth most talented receiver as a rookie in the division, like behind Cooper, McLaurin, Gallup. The problem is that two of those players happen to be Cowboys, and I don't see Lamb taking over Gallup or Cooper's role because I think both of them are very solid receivers. In terms of like fantasy points, like Gallup was like a high-end RB, like wide receiver 2 when he played last year. Like he's no joke.
Yeah.
There's talented players, and without with the offseason looking how it is, this is not exactly prime opportunity for Lamb to step in and boot one of them out of the rotation. So
I think there's a good chance that at least 8, possibly 9 of these receivers finish in the top 35. Is that reasonable to say?
That's reasonable. Oh yeah.
Without looking
Five?
at the list of
You
other
said five?
receivers, I don't. You said
I said 8.
8 of them.
without looking
8
Ah.
of them, yeah.
without looking at the list of like whole receivers, I lean towards no.
It's the
And your bottom is Sterling Shepard. I'm saying barring any injuries, barring any unforeseen changes or circumstances that we may not
There's a lot of
experience.
depth in this division. We all put Cooper 1, so McLaurin and Gallup are kind of close to me. I lean McLaurin just because like he's gonna get more touches, I would think, than Gallup. I couldn't even capitalize the L in his name, so but maybe I don't care. But other than that, like
neither one of you.
I wanted
did.
to put Tate. I wanted to put Gallup at 4, but between that, like Tate and like between 3 and 8 was just kind of like pick 'em to me.
Yeah.
Like, these are all like I think going to be productive, and really Deshaun will be productive if he's on the field. Like a healthy Deshaun
Yeah.
is unlikely, but has the ceiling of like number 2,
Yeah.
if
I
not
agree.
number 1. Now,
Oh, not number 1. No.
Not number 1. But
Not at this age. Maybe like 3 years ago. Yeah, for sure.
playing Deshaun playing all 16 games, I think could be. I think that's incredibly unrealistic. That's the thing.
sure.
like-
Yeah.
I don't think you can question his ability right now. It's just health. However, he has shown the last few years that he's going to miss games. So that's why I have him at 9. Jeffrey's at 10 just because, we kind of ran out of receivers at that point. I wanted to rank a second Redskins receiver, so that's why I put Steven Sims Jr.
I'll put Trey Quinn at 11 just because, he was their slot receiver until he got hurt. And then Steven Sims took over and did pretty good with Dwayne Haskins. And I feel like the slot receiver may just have, like, a good little connection with Dwayne Haskins, like, regardless of who the receiver is. But, yeah, I'm probably not rostering him.
Slot receiver is just in general, like, the easiest receiver role to play.
Yeah.
And that's why we got whoever plays the Eagles slot receiver. I
Yeah.
could see Marquise Goodwin potentially winning that slot job and, like, putting in some decent games. But I'm not sure I'd roster that. I wouldn't roster that in a redraft league.
Yeah, no shot for me. I guess we can, let's talk about the Giants receivers. Well, actually, before we do that, or even in the same token, let's have Brandon explain why the hell he has Darius Slayton at 2.
Yeah, let's hear that.
So I told you guys earlier today, it wasn't a skill-based ranking decision. It was just a team-based ranking, in my opinion. I personally think Slayton and McLaurin aren't as far. See, I think Slayton at 8 is pretty crazy. In my beliefs, I don't got anything to support this. It's just team.
Are you saying he's their best receiver?
I'm saying Slayton hasn't been on the field with a full healthy Giants team since he started. You had
Wasn't he at the end of last year? They didn't have Ingram.
you didn't have Ingram, who
played with
is a
Shepard.
vital part of that offense.
Yeah, but Ingram coming back just means
He
less
would- Exactly. He would take more targets away.
time. And
Because when Ingram played, he had the highest target share on the team.
He did.
I do. I think
So
in terms of receivers, I think Tate's going to be their most productive receiver.
I agree.
Tate was very productive. I feel like we kind of ignored him. I definitely did with that 4-game suspension.
Yeah.
I just kind of forgot about him, but like he was incredibly productive. Like after he came back, that's why I have him before.
He was Daniel Jones' like favorite target outside of when Evan Ingram's healthy and Sterling Shepard. When Sterling Shepard played in the slot, which is what Golden Tate usually does. So I mean, if you think about it that way.
Again, this is just another example of a slot receiver is a good fucking job to have.
In fantasy, for sure, yeah.
And Tate's good at that. Like,
yeah,
that's why I have him at 4. I'm not like hating on Slayton per se. I think he's a solid guy. However, I'd take Tate over him. I'd take Slayton over Shepard just because I think those two are pretty similar. Maybe I don't know who I'd lean towards, honestly. The injury concerns would make me lean towards Slayton, obviously, because you never know when Shepard is going to miss time.
Yeah, there's been like Sterling Shepard's a good talent. And he's like, I thought this past year was like his breakout season, like a lot of people probably have, but he's played 2 of his 4 seasons in the NFL. He's played complete, like the entire season. It was his rookie season and his 3rd season, and it's going to be his 5th season. So I mean, like 1, 3, 5, he might just play the whole season. Maybe. But with that thinking, that's why I have him at 6. But I don't know. The reason why I have Darius Slayton at 8 compared to Sterling Shepard at 6 is just because last year I think Darius Slayton kind of got lucky with all those touchdowns. And obviously the Giants are having these whole discussions with like his role is going to be expanded and whatnot. But I don't think he's going to see like a ton of volume. And while sure he was efficient with his volume last year and he didn't even get an extreme amount, I just wouldn't gamble on efficiency. Like with efficiency in fantasy football, I don't feel like gambling on it would be the smart choice to do because, like, especially with somebody like Darius Slayton, like, there's some high expectations, but the expectations, in my opinion, are solely on how efficient he's going to be with the touches he gets. So, like, I'm not going to risk my selection with a player like that, especially when he's getting taken probably like, what would you guys – I don't even know what his ADP is now. I'd probably say something around 9th, 10th round, something like that, maybe a little higher.
Not sure redraft.
Yeah.
Dynasty was around 9th, 10th.
No, it was higher in Dynasty. I want to say he went 8th.
7th, 8th?
He went 8th.
So 8th, 9th.
I think, like you said, Ed, with touchdowns, I feel like some of his touchdowns were fluky. I remember specifically the one he had against the Eagles. It was like a 4-yard pass that Ronald Darby just fucking fell over.
Yeah.
McLeod, forgot what the job was or something, and, he just walked into the end zone.
I don't know. Last year, he had 3 games of 15-plus point fantasy games, okay? 3 games. And then 9 games, he had less than 10 points. Now, while some of the games were 9 points, sure, that may be startable as a wide receiver 3 or something, or even a wide receiver 2 in some cases. I don't know. There's too much game with the guy.
Keep in mind is that, he was a deep threat per se. That's what he was billed as. And as I've mentioned before, those guys are usually pretty inconsistent as young players, so we'll see if he takes that next step towards consistency. I don't know if the target share is going to be there for him.
Yeah.
If you have a healthy Evan Ingram, him and Tate, I think, are probably going to clearly be ahead of him in the pecking order.
Yeah.
And Sterling Shepard, if he plays, isn't just going away. Saquon's still going to get touches.
I say he's probably going to be, if all those players remain healthy, which is obviously slim, but in that circumstance, I would have him 4th on the team in targets, which isn't far-fetched. In my opinion.
Now, do you think a Slayton with a whole team of healthy players is better than a McLaurin?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely taking McLaurin over Slayton, just talent based.
Terry McLaurin is, let's be real here, McLaurin is, if there were to be any name on the Redskins offense, he is the only name.
But that was also the case last year, and he still performed better than Slayton did as a rookie. And I get they're both rookies, but still, you're expecting a step forward from each of them. Except McLaurin is the number 1 piece, whereas Slayton is just kind of there.
Yeah, he's there.
And I think towards the end of the year, Haskins and McLaurin were starting to develop a nice connection. Second-year quarterback, he's going to lean on the one guy that sometimes gets open. So.
And the one guy who's going to be there. Like last year, Steven Sims was the slot receiver at the end of the season. He leaned on him a little bit, but he's switching out with Trey Quinn. There's going to be consistency with McLaurin there. So I would definitely take McLaurin based off that. Plus, I think he's more talented than Slayton.
I mean, he's going to get a shit ton of touches.
No.
And he might not be the most efficient for that reason because he's the only guy, but volume is good.
I want to clarify. McLaurin's more talented than Slayton, in my opinion. Also, I agree with you there. And although I agree with your guys' takes on McLaurin, and he was the one last year with the Redskins. Last episode, I was willing to adjust my viewpoint on Dion Lewis and Gallman. I mean, it's not as big of a thing, but I think in this situation, I personally still would say Slayton. In my opinion, I like Slayton more. I don't know.
I get it, but like this is where my logic comes into place. Like I'm going to be the betting man on volume over efficiency because I'm not going to bet on efficiency. Like volume you can predict sort of, but efficiency it's completely wild. Like you really don't have any guarantee with that. With workload, when you're the number one wide receiver on a team, I'm going to take you over somebody who's going to be either the number 2 or 3 wide receiver, not just player on the team. Number 2 or 3 wide receiver, where McLaurin is literally the guy on that team.
Especially when we're saying that McLaurin has more talent. You're
That
talking
too, yeah.
more talent, more workload.
I think the talent differential between the two quarterbacks is that much more
Notable. I understand that.
I think Daniel Jones isn't as close to Haskins. I don't know how close you guys think those two quarterbacks are, but I think they're pretty separate. At least at this point. At least at what I've seen so far.
Decision making. Yeah.
I think Jones has separated himself enough for me to think Slayton has the better chance of taking a bigger step
I
forward.
don't agree with that even slightly.
Wait, you don't agree with the fact that Haskins is worse than?
I think Haskins is worse than Jones, but I don't think Jones is good. So
I don't think Jones is good, no, but I think there's a decent gap between the two. But I think the gap between Slayton and McLaurin, talent-wise, is
I
bigger.
think while Haskins might not be good, Haskins can throw the ball. So
It's just his decision making. I think I get what Brandon's saying.
Yeah, and if he's throwing 4 interceptions, I don't give a shit as long as he's targeting McLaurin 18 times.
And that's the thing, like McLaurin can get open, and I'm not saying Slayton can't, but McLaurin is a better route runner. He's just better at separating. He's going to be able to get open. So Haskins, you can throw me out there, and I'll be able to get the throw off to McLaurin, a wide open McLaurin, compared to Darius Slayton. That's just my take.
I think if anyone's pushing for 2 on this list, it's Gallup and not Slayton or Tate or anyone.
Yeah.
I could see you're more optimistic on Rager than I am. I could see it. I think his talent was suppressed a little bit at TCU given the fucking awful quarterback play he was subjected to. And I think being that, like, outside of a healthy Deshaun Rager is the most talented receiver on the team, most likely. At least I hope so. And I would hope they've got a lot of – and rookie receivers, I think that narrative is starting to go away. Like, they can produce.
Yeah, I mean, it might take a few games at the beginning, especially with this corona pandemic and whatnot, but, like, eventually he'll – like you've seen last year with A.J. Brown, he wasn't starting off week 1, like, with 20 fantasy points. Like, he got to that point eventually.
You get Rager involved in the way that, like, some of those, like, Debo and A.J. Brown got involved in that, like, the screens, the end-arounds. Like, he's got the running talent to get involved outside of the passing game. So I think he'll have a decent floor, I would hope.
He's a playmaker who I think I loved before the draft. And then he landed in Philly, which was literally the best case scenario in my opinion. I just don't see what's not to love.
Anyone who says we should have taken Jefferson can
Goodbye.
I don't like you people.
Yeah, we don't like you. All right, anybody else to talk about in this wide receiver rankings?
I mean, as for Gallup, it's pretty much self-explanatory, I think. But I have him at 5 strictly on the just the straight strength of the Cowboys offense. I think with Elliott, Cooper, Lamb, all the playmakers, I think, although Gallup had just as good as numbers of Cooper had last year,
not quite.
It was pretty close. It was close.
Cooper was more of a good wide receiver 1. When Gallup was on the field, he put up high-end wide receiver 2 numbers. He was 15th in half PPR points per game when Gallup was on the field.
I think Gallup is definitely See, I think
if he cleans up his drops, though, he'll be even better. That's why I have him at 3, and I'm saying I might put him at 2. I don't think having 3 good receivers is a bad thing. To me, he's the number 2 target in that offense, so I'm not worried about him losing his workload.
I wanted to bring something up to you, Alex. I mean, I get the whole Gallup love because, I mean, just looking at it divisionally, like that's 6 of your 16 games in the league and in a season. Okay, so Gallup plays. Who's our second corner? Darby. Or is it Douglas?
Who's our second corner?
Yeah.
Probably Avonte Maddox to start, and/or maybe Sidney Jones. And if one of them gets hurt, I would hope they just put like a German Shepherd out there before they allow Rasul Douglas to keep trying.
All right. Well, say it's Sidney Jones. Isn't Maddox the slot corner? Or am I incorrect?
Robbie Coleman, I would imagine, would be the starting slot cornerback.
Oh, yeah.
Every indication from the team so far is that Maddox it's his job to lose. Although Sidney Jones showed potential, so I think he can get a look. But,
so thinking about it that way, like outside of the Eagles, I guess you could say, every other team's secondary or just cornerbacks in general are kind of like they're very.
And the Eagles, I mean, Gallup would.
I mean, they are, but outside of the number one corner, we have Darius Slay.
Yeah, but he would be on Cooper if we're talking.
That's why I said I see with your Gallup thing, but every other player, like even like with the Redskins, McLaurin might struggle with Darius Slay. And obviously, Darius Slay is not the top 3 cornerback in the league, but he's better than every other cornerback in this division.
Slay when they played last year.
You have to repeat everything you said. You could not.
McLaurin played well against Slay when they played each other last year. McLaurin, that was probably one of Slay's worst games against McLaurin. Even Slay said after the game, damn, kid's good. But although I don't know if they'll use him to shadow number ones.
Where do you think they'll use him for then?
I mean, I think they might just leave him. Typically, Jim Schwartz has left his cornerbacks on
one side.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, the plan seems to be, because they typically played a lot of cover 3. I would think the plan has supposedly been to play a little more man coverage now that they have Slay.
Mm-hmm.
Maddox is more of a man coverage guy, being that he's 5'9" and he's very quick. So maybe they use Slay to shadow guys. I don't know. Either way, it's a good point that you're going to direct coverage more towards Cooper than Gallup.
I also wanted to say something. Well, I seen a report that Cooper is supposed to be seeing more slot work, and he's seen only 10% these past 2 years. And say that jumps to 25, Slay might shadow Gallup occasionally when Cooper's in slot. That might be a thing.
I mean, I'm not really worried about that from a fantasy perspective.
I would be. That's
that's 2 games, and one of those games might not even matter because we play them week 16 or 17.
Well, yeah, but what I'm getting at is the fact that that's 2 games that Rager doesn't have a uber talented cornerback covering him. In the division, the Eagles don't have to play their good cornerback. They play the Giants, the Redskins, and the Cowboys, who cornerbacks are average. That's where I have Rager above Gallup, in addition to the fact that he's the number 1, in my opinion.
He's talented. However, Darius Slay isn't just immediately going to take whatever receiver he's guarding and just physically remove them from the game. Cornerbacks get beat.
Cornerbacks get beat, yeah, but you don't see what I'm saying, Alex.
But to me, Michael Gallup potentially being shadowed by Darius Slay for part of a game, once or twice, isn't going to knock him down a ranking.
It increases the likelihood of him not having a good game in those 2 games compared to Rager getting covered by whoever the hell the corner is for the Cowboys or the Giants or the Redskins, is what I'm saying. Plus, I just think Rager's
Kendall
better.
Full shadow Rager, and Rager just gets removed completely. He's also a rookie.
That's true, but I mean, Rager is a playmaker. He's not just – he's like a Debo, like you said earlier. He's not like a wide receiver that needs to be running these routes like Gallup is.
I mean, I think Gallup could – as much as I don't want this to happen, I think Gallup could produce against Slay if given the opportunity. Not as much as he would against some other random asshole. But
do you think?
Then again, if we're using Slay to shadow somebody, then he'll just follow Cooper into the slot.
Yeah. Do you think Gallup hit a ceiling last year?
No.
No?
I would say it's close to a ceiling, yeah. I wouldn't say it is his ceiling, but it is close.
Of volume, because I don't think his volume can increase a lot right now. Talking about ceiling, that was his 3rd season.
All around stats.
You don't just peak after your 3rd season.
I mean, we've seen multiple players do it, man.
Yeah, but that's not the norm. It's not it's his 3rd season. It's downhill from here.
It's also with
No, it's not his absolute peak, but I'm saying like he can hover around that for like 2 to 3 years, yeah.
Well, I mean, if he's a high-end wide receiver too, I'm not ranking him 5 because that's what he was.
I don't know. I think Rager is probably going to be a top. I said in my my notes that I have that Rager is going to be a top 20 receiver. I could see that. Like, that's his ceiling. And I say that Gallup's going to be a top 25. So, like, sure, say Rager finishes 20, say Gallup finishes 18. Then, yeah, they finish different.
What he did last year, then he's a high-end wide receiver too. So Rager would essentially have to be a wide receiver 1 to beat that, even if low.
Well, I'm not saying Gallup is going to finish as that same ranking. I'm saying he's fluctuating around that. Yeah. He can drop down 5 ranks. He can jump up 5 ranks for all I care. What'd you say?
I like both of them. All right, let's go with that. Both of them are talented.
Okay.
Players.
Nothing on Lamb.
If you switch Rager and Lamb, like if you put Lamb on the Eagles, then I'd take him over Gallup. However, I think he'll be 3rd in the pecking order.
I think it will, strictly because of experience.
I think he can still be productive, though. Me ranking him at 7 isn't like me saying, "Oh, it sucks."
See, the thing is, with this division, what I said last episode, right here, 10 of these wide receivers could be startable assets at some point.
9 will be if they're on the field. If Cooper, McLaurin, Gallup, Tate, Rager, Slayton, Lamb, Shepard, Jackson are playing, they are startable receivers.
Exactly.
Jeffrey is a question mark. He's probably starting the year on the physically unable to perform list. If he comes back, we don't know what he's going to look like. But to me, those top 9 guys are startable receivers.
And I like to stress you got to recognize that this is divisional rankings, and a whole vacuum, as Ed would describe it. Gallup's not going to land at 5. McLaurin and Slayton wouldn't be back-to-back, or Slayton wouldn't be right behind Cooper. Cooper's going to be at the top 10, hypothetically. I don't know. I'm just saying the rank, you're seeing it divisional, so you got to recognize that CeeDee Lamb at 7 might be wide receiver 25 or something. Just got to recognize that variance.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I could see 8 of these people finishing in the top. Like, 8 of these wide receivers finishing in the top 30, 35, say.
And I'd agree with that. And I know you said earlier if okay, maybe not. Never mind. I think I was thinking back on
previous episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
You look at, like, we had Mike Williams at number 5, the last division. I could see him getting outproduced by 8 or 9 guys on this list if things broke right.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's likely Deshaun Jackson and Sterling Shepard outproduce him, but if one of them stays healthy, I think they could. So
I'd agree. 100%. And that's why I just want to be transparent. Want to make that aware amongst the viewers.
I'm not doing that.
You know. So, yeah.
Yeah. Just keep it going. Like,
question time.
Let's get these questions rolling in.
Edward, question, what you got?
I asked the question last time. Let's pass it over to Alex.
Oh, Brandon was asking the question. It's Brandon's question.
Oh, yeah, Brandon.
You two. And the
Shut
one beside.
What's your least favorite common saying?
What's your least favorite common saying?
And I would have a few of these. So, Ed, I'll let you go first.
Edward.
I'm probably going to have to go with time is money, I think. I really don't know. I don't really have any.
Honestly, that one to me isn't as bad as some others. I think there are some really awful sayings. Like, for example, what goes around comes around. That's fucking stupid. No, it doesn't. You want to see an example of that? Brandon, stand up. See, I just shoved him. You know what's going to happen to me? Fucking nothing. He's just going to sit down here.
Just because I'm nice.
Yeah, he's just sitting down. So, you know what? I shoved him. Nothing fucking happened to me. That saying's bullshit. You know what happens? You know what happens in this world? Big people beat up on little people with no consequences. There is no what goes around comes around. You want to hear another stupid fucking phrase? The old college try. I'm gonna give it the old college try. What the fuck does that even mean? What does that mean? Who signs up for college and walks in and goes, "Well, we're just gonna give it a shot, you know? Just gonna give it a shot, you know?
What's
Give up after a week,
try?
a week and 20 grand in. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna work at Burger King for the rest of my existence. What the fuck does that even mean?
What about
And people always say it like after they failed, like, "Oh, Tim, how'd that roofing remodeling? Oh, we gave it the old college try. It didn't work. There's rain leaking in it. Had a fucking failure." My wife left.
No way, bud.
You can bring up common phrases, and I will probably have something angry to say.
There are plenty of fish in the sea. I personally cannot stand that phrase.
Actually, I think that one's true.
You, God, I hate that phrase. That is the last thing I want to hear when I get a devastating breakup.
See, though, it's not
There are
wrong, though,
plenty of
because, like,
I don't want to be compared to a fucking fish.
I disagree with that, because I look at, like, past tenses. It's like, God damn it.
Thank God there are some puffer fish out there I can smooch
kill
on.
me.
You said do what on?
Smooch on.
He's going to make out with a puffer fish.
What? Okay, I thought mine was like bad, but it probably was, yeah.
It's like somewhat true. Given if I just like took a week and sat down for a whole week, I would have less money than I would had I gone to work.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I guess it depends on usage. Like if
I would say I don't know. I don't think it's my least liked phrase. That's the only phrase that came to mind, and I was like, I don't know. I just don't like phrases in general.
Yeah, I mean, same here. Like, if you start bringing up phrases, I'll probably have angry things to say about a lot of them. Like, just for the first two that popped in my head is things that are just stupid.
You reap what you sow.
Well, that's like what goes around comes around. It's just not correct. Like, you reap what you sow is like a little bit like.
Brandon will end up pouring apple juice in Alex's ear, and Alex will wake up and be very angry. Brandon, do you remember when you did that shit to me in the second grade?
I don't remember it, but I remember the legend I have become.
What? This guy poured apple juice in my ear in second grade, and he's a legend now. So what goes around comes around for sure, yeah.
There's approximately like 3 people that know this story.
Yeah, it's the 3 people sitting here.
It's a legend. It's a legend. Prophecy.
I don't think people make it this far in the video, so I think us 3 are going to be the only 3 that know.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Yeah. Deuces.
Later on.